Hi, everybody. Welcome to the feed. My name is Jacobo Garcia, founder and director of the Divide by Zero collection. And today we're going to talk about Yayoi Kusama. On this video, I want to talk about the Kusama's current exhibition at the M Plus Museum here in Hong Kong. And I want to cover it for two reasons. The first one and the most obvious one is that I want to give an overview for those that are not in Hong Kong. I want to give a quick presentation and my personal take on the exhibition in itself, which in my opinion is organized in a beautiful chronological order throughout her life's journey. It's not necessarily chronological in the sense of the works, but it's about her journey, life journey exploring infinity. The second reason is on the topic in itself. The concept of infinity is something that resonates with me amply. I'm fascinated by the topic, by the immensity that it has, what infinity means in the impact that it has in our day-to-day life, the fact that we have the possibility to do pretty much anything, and that thanks to infinity. Perhaps people that know me, I always kind of like say that in terms of art and creativity, those two aspects are truly infinite. And indeed, so infinity and as well as randomness are two topics that absolutely fascinate me. And perhaps anybody that is familiar with physics, mathematics, and even philosophy might find that exhibition interesting. And the third one, which was more the fun part of it, was about artificial intelligence, and I really wanted to incorporate artificial intelligence into my experience. Took ChatGPT with me in, and I decided to interact with artificial intelligence as I was seeing the exhibition and ask questions about how much not necessarily knowledge the artificial intelligence had on Kusama, but the interpretation in itself. And on that one, I can give you a quick conclusion. It's pretty impressive. Although the database is being built out of people's knowledge of thousands and thousands and thousands of books and research and papers and essays and everything that has been written out of Kusama, what I found impressive is the tool's capacity to search, crawl into that information and give you very concise, simple answers and simple paragraphs, really condensing her life's work, which is that exploration of infinity and what it meant, for example, the symbolism of repetition and polka dot figures and how that translating into vulnerability and fragility of human life and overall the immensity of existence. So yeah, armed with artificial intelligence and as well as with a lot of curiosity, for Kusama's exhibition, I decided to venture in and explore and immerse myself in the world of Kusama. So the M Plus curated the show in a chronological flow. I think that's the best way to put it. It flows throughout Kusama's life journey exploring infinity. So it starts with the realization of infinity. The feel that I got there is her realization into the immensity of infinity with the Sirius Pacific Ocean, pretty much. I mean, there's some earlier previous works about her portraits and some other works about her life, but I think that the meaningful part of the exhibition starts with the Sirius Pacific Ocean. The main works here will be the works about the repetition with the little dots representing and the immensity of the sea. Another work that I found that is actually very small, which depicts a coral pattern, and it's one of the earlier works that you find in the exhibition, where she sees how biology is being constructed by the series of repetition, and the repetition of an element creates a structure, and that structure eventually becomes an object, and therefore, and that object acquires an identity and meaning, and etc., etc., etc. It just expands from there. I think I found that work quite smart because for me, that's the work that really kind of like kickstarted her thought process throughout infinity. It might be right, it might be wrong. As I said, I'm not an art historian, but the way that it was presented throughout the exhibition is that work is being put there right at the beginning for that reason, to try to kickstart you, at least me, kickstart me, that thought process, that organic repetition eventually leads into something far more meaningful. The exhibition then continues with the topic of self-obliteration, with an installation made of mannequins and objects. And the way that I interpreted this exhibition or this particular topic to this exhibition was similar to that conversation in the film Matrix, where Neo and Cypher are talking, and then Neo asks Cypher about the Matrix in itself and the fact that he sees everything through code. And he says, like, yeah, you have to, that there's so much information that the only way to see it is by seeing that the greater ether. I interpret it in the same way that Kusama is trying to reduce the individual meaning of each individual element of the installation, being the person denoted by the mannequin or the different objects, and then presents them covered in these polka dots, with these infinity polka dots, with this net. And it's trying to present indeed that all of us are subsumed or intertwined with the greater ether. And with that realization, then the museum ventures into the third topic called accumulation. And through this series, Kusama comments on society's obsession and perhaps desire with accumulating material possessions. And I personally found very interesting her repetitive use of phallic shapes throughout the works, which somewhat denotes, at least to me, that comparable desire to a sexual impulse, denoting that obsession with material, with all things material, and the representation of that towards wealth has become like almost an animalistic impulse. Then from accumulation and radical connectivity ventures into biocosmic, where Kusama realizes that infinity in itself is not necessarily limited to a social interaction, but it really engulfs everything in the world. Bio, for me, I take it not necessarily that it engulfs anything biological, but it engulfs anything that, and so anything that even an object in itself, in my opinion, is being engulfed by Kusama's interpretation of biocosmic. There's a room with the word clouds, which is absolutely beautiful. You see these structures on the floor, and the way that they reflect with the light, and the repetition of this structure resembling clouds give you that sense of the empowering sense that this great infinity is all around us. There's another work about sperm, and it's giving us that sense that repetition of a sperm eventually leads into life, and that infinity of it is very empowering. I found it very uplifting. And the last two topics are on death and force of life. And on death, there's one particular work that really blew my mind. It's called Prisoner's Door, and which are these doors that encompass these tentacles and these repetitive patterns, these very organic patterns that are somewhat kind of like a coming out to get you and to entrap you. And it gave me that sense that that infinity has a fate for us, and you cannot escape it. I related that to this particular work, that there's no way we can escape that sense of infinity, that we cannot fight it, we can only ride it. And I found that work very, very humbling. There's also an annex to the exhibition, which is at the basement of the museum. There's one of the infinity rooms, and I found that quite beautiful because this one, you find it very empowering and very overwhelming. Once you kind of like do the main wing, and you kind of like interpret and understand Kusama's idea for exploring infinity, when you go downstairs, and especially when you go with the room that has the mirrors, the smaller room, you realize that sense of infinity and repetition, because you can see the images being repeated through the windows or through the mirrors. The sense of the grandness that infinity has, and how overwhelming you feel, very small, but in a very humbling way, that this beauty is all around us, is beyond us, is greater than tangible reality in itself, and is very intangible indeed. I mean, one of her famous quotes is that infinity is an intangible truth, and you really sense it when you go to that infinity room is very overwhelming. I have, and it's fun. It's very beautiful, absolutely Instagrammable. But I really want people to see it for more than just the visuals. What she's presenting is a concept that is that's very meaningful. It's very empowering. Is that pretty much she's telling us that we have the infinite capacity to be great. That was it. That was the entire video. I think I tried to keep it very short. I tried to keep it with below around 10 minutes. That was my take about Kusama, and not only my take, but that was also ChatGPT's take on Kusama, and I think I had a good interaction with them with the AI, and so yeah. So this was the entire video, and hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.